But what we can see here is that, you know, she was looking down. I know she's making notes, but she's looking down. She's got her legs crossed here, okay, which is actually a defensive move. It's closed body language, which means that because of this open space, she's, you know, her vagina's right there, okay? His penis is right there. It's a very masculine versus feminine move here. Hello guys, and welcome back to another body language analysis video. I thought this might be the end of these videos, but no. The company that I spoke to said they made a mistake. They said they have no problem with me doing this. It's free advertising for them, and my videos actually probably make them money. You know, I did the video of Gentleman, the film, and not everybody's heard of that film. Well, I probably sent an extra 2,000-3,000 people to go and watch it. So, you know, it's more money for them. So if anything, you know, this is a massive mistake if they ban me from doing this. So the series will continue. Which is great. So I thought I'd come back with a vengeance and do another James Bond one. Ideally, I would be analysing the new Bond film, but, you know, COVID, 2-year ban on this film or delay on this film. It is what it is, guys. So we're going to be analysing Spectre, a scene that I've missed in the past. I don't know why I've not done this one, but it's a scene where he's talking to a woman, which I think is very good, because the scenes where he's talking to women, they always show more body language cues than any other scenario. And I think you guys are more interested in attracting women than maybe trying to look like the most authoritative guy in your fucking Boy Scouts group, right? So this scene here is the one where he says, I kill people, small world. That's a weird word, isn't it? If anybody has seen this before, then you might have noticed a few body language cues, but, you know, I'm going to break this down, so let's get started.
Take a seat. I'll be with you in just a moment. Suite aux analyses lundi, un diagnostic d'état de...
So the first thing that we can notice, and probably the most obvious here, guys, is the speed at which they get him to walk in. Look how slow this is.
Suite aux analyses lundi, un diagnostic d'état de stress post-traumatique a été établi.
And the entire time as well, he's keeping his eyes on the woman. And one thing to note too is the size, the shadow that he casts. Look at this. I always say take up more space. Now, a lot of this is muscle tone, and it's the fit of the jacket. You know, obviously it's going to be completely fitted. But you look at the wide steps that he's taking, the speed at which he's moving. I cannot imagine they did this in one take. Or I cannot imagine he didn't do training for this. Once I draw a line around it, can you see how weird this kind of shape is? Now, this arm is by his side right now, but as he moves this, it comes out here. I've seen this scene before. But as we can see there, guys, look at the amount of space that he's covering up just on his natural frame. Now, what he could do, I think I can erase all of this, can't I? Oh, never mind. Let's just do this. What he could do here, he could be walking with his left leg there, right leg there, that arm pretty much tight as it is there, and the other arm pretty much tight in there. He wouldn't be given the same kind of prowess that he is here. And these shoulders, obviously a lot of this is muscle tone, but he could have this sloping forward this way and that sloping forward that way, and he would look like a completely different man. And he could be doing these short, like, look at the length of this stride here. This could quite plausibly be half that length, and he could be doing that little stutter walk that a lot of young women do when they're frightened, or just in general, you know, they're low confidence and they're just strutting through the middle of a crowded area and they're petrified. You know, he could be doing that, and it's the same guy with the same body, but it's a completely different image that he's portraying, and it makes a giant difference. You got to walk with confidence.
Suite aux analyses lundi.
Look at that sway as well, the shoulder sway and the hip sway. That's a confident man.
Un diagnostic d'état de stress post-traumatique a été établi.
And like I said, he kept his eyes on her the whole time. Now, if she was actually looking at him, this would have been enormously powerful. But, you know, she's not. It's more for dramatic effect by the director. But watch here, guys. Watch how slow he sits down. I love these kind of moves.
Un traitement médicamenteux est prescrit accompagné de TCC et de séances de thérapie crânio-sacrale.
Let's just watch that again.
Un médicamenteux est prescrit accompagné de TCC et de séances de thérapie crânio-sacrale.
Very slow, and straight away you can see how relaxed he is. That straight away he's taking up space here. You know, this armrest is now his. He's leant back. You can see from his frame that he's leant back, which means that he's comfortable. You know, somebody who was frightened or not comfortable might sit on the edge of the chair and have their hands maybe clasped in here. He hasn't done that at all. He's sat back. He's very relaxed. That's how you do it. The only error is probably this hand here, which I'll show you now.
Please excuse me.
So here, I don't think this is necessarily the best look. I think everything else is fantastic. I think this kind of... He's resting his hand on his mouth, but it kind of looks like he's biting his nails. I personally think you should never touch your face as a man. You should touch it as less as possible. You know, if you're touching your face, it shows that you're submissive, you're nervous, you're trying to cover up a main body part, you know, neck, face, stomach, anything like that. Where the vital organs are, or the vulnerable areas where maybe there's a jugular vein or something like that, and you know, you want it covered up. It's a very primitive thing that we do, but it speaks volumes. And I think by Bond doing that, I don't think it's the best thing to do. I think if this left arm was the same as the right, spread out, he would look fantastic.
Mr. Bond, my name is Dr. Madeleine Swan.
We saw there a little shuffle from Bond, and I've seen this with Leonardo DiCaprio in real life in interviews. He changes. You know, if he's being challenged or something, he'll sit up and his body language becomes, you know, alpha male in 3 seconds. Bond's just done that here. He sat up and things just got serious.
My name is...
There. And ever since that moment, things get very, very serious. Body language should be natural, as Travel Bum said on the podcast the other day, but you do switch it on and off because, you know, naturally not all of us are experts. Like even myself, sometimes I have to stop and think, oh yeah, just turn the body language on. Like it's going to work wonders. And that's what he's doing here. Watch this from this point onwards.
Dr. Madeleine Swan. Our job today is to analyze your needs, both psychological and physical.
So we can see straight away this is completely different now. His eyes are just fixed on hers. He's got this wide sitting stance where he's holding both of the armrests. Again, he's still leant back, and he's just taken up more space than he was before. He looks more relaxed, and obviously this eye contact is way more intense, which is fantastic.
Sounds pretty straightforward.
Now, a small nod and a small look off to the side there, which isn't the most Bond-like quality in the world, but I think they would... This woman, he ended up being with this woman, you know, she's in the next film. I think the director wanted to show some level of vulnerability, so I wouldn't read too much into that, but looking off to the side is better than looking down. He kind of does a diagonal look, but we can see here...
Physical.
Sounds pretty straightforward.
We can see here that she's laughing, and I think that's why the director did it. I think he did it because, or at least Bond did it, because I think it was supposed to be a little moment between the two, so I wouldn't read too much into what he did there. I'd look at the rest of the body language. But this scene here is fantastic. So what we've got here is two different stories going on across the table. So first thing to notice, do you know what, guys? I need to do a body language analysis on what goes on in the workplace too, the nature of your furniture, because I've looked into this before a couple of years ago, and you know, CEOs have taken the door off of their office, or they've had a desk like this that doesn't have anything blocking the two people. See how there's a clear route straight through to them? This shows that I'm open, you know, I'm available, you know, we can talk about anything. There's a lot of body language in feng shui, if that makes sense, or a lot of meaning in feng shui, or the nature of the furniture that you choose, or the things that you have around you. But what we can see here is that, you know, she was looking down. I know she's making notes, but she's looking down. She's got her legs crossed here, okay, which is actually a defensive move. It's closed body language, which means that because of this open space, she's, you know, her vagina's right there, okay? His penis is right there. It's a very masculine versus feminine move here. So his legs, Bond's legs, wide open, feet planted flat on the floor, you know, as we can see here again. You know, this is a fantastic posture from Bond, leaning back. This is brilliant. He's so relaxed, arms by his side. I probably would have put that one on the rest. I don't know what the other one's doing, But as we can see here, feet not on the floor, planted up in the air. And I know she's got heels on there, so it's hard to tell. But it looks like she's kind of on tiptoes. But either way, it's a very submissive versus masculine look. You know, and like I showed you in one of the Bond films before, with Miss Moneypenny, Bond had his legs open and pulled her in. And she was very closed and tight body language. It's because women are very resistant when it comes to sex. You know, it's kind of a cat and mouse game between men and women. It always has been, it always will be. And this is the kind of masculine energy, you know, legs wide open, penis and testicles on show, very masculine thing to do. Vagina closed up, chastity belt type approach, closed body language, blocking Bond from getting into that area there, so to speak. I know that sounds very crass, but that's exactly what that means in that scenario.
I hope you don't mind. The view can be distracting.
I hadn't noticed.
That was a, I think that might have been a small compliment from her there. And the way he says, I hadn't noticed, and the way he's got his eyes still fixed on her, it's very hard to do.
I hadn't noticed.
You know, holding eye contact there. Yeah, that was a little bit of flirting. And the fact that he only says 3 words and holds eye contact doesn't break it. You know, that's very good. And the fact that what he does next shows us that this was, like I was saying with Travel Bum, this was conscious. You know, he's actually meant to do this on purpose because he has noticed. Watch this. You know, straight away, he's off guard. So, you know, he was trying to act all calm and his body language was fantastic. And then all of a sudden, eyes are darting around the room, you know, and this is the thing you've got to realize, guys, is nobody's perfect at body language. If an explosion goes off right now, I'm going to spin my head around and worry what the fuck that was, you know. And I always say, if there's loud noises like a dog barking, etc., and if a car toots its horn and you're walking along the road, try and be aloof to everything. It's not easy, okay? So she drops the blinds and his eyes dart, he's looking around, you know, he is an agent, he needs to know what's going on, but nobody is perfect when it comes to body language. But what he did do is the moment that actually counted, he got right, okay? So this part here that she's actually seeing.
The view can be distracting.
I hadn't noticed.
There, he's getting this part right, holding eye contact. This part took him by surprise, you know, is what it is.
I see you filled out most of the paperwork. Just a few questions to complete your evaluation.
Slight spin on the chair. I think they should have told him to stay exactly still, but very small thing.
If I may. Do you exercise?
When I have to.
So, do you exercise when I have to? That's 3 words.
Do you consider your employment to be psychologically stressful?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, that's 1 word, so we're up to 4.
How much alcohol do you consume?
Too much.
And there's another 2. So 6 words, 3 questions. That's fantastic. And also, I think women quite like it when you're honest. So how much alcohol do you consume? Too much. You know, he's being honest. He's showing that he's got flaws. It's a very bad boy type trait. And you can see there, I know it's just a film, guys. People used to do that back in the day. They say to me, you know it's just a film, right? But these people are trained to act a certain way, to give off a certain image, to make it believable, okay? So this has been studied. They've probably got body language experts on set helping them with these things. But the reaction that she's given there, you know, she quite likes it. Girls like it when you're honest.
Some broader questions. As a child, would you say you were close to your parents?
My parents died when I was young.
So that's important because she wasn't looking at him for all of those questions and he held eye contact and was very relaxed. The second that she turns around and she holds eye contact, a lot of guys might look away at that point because they'd feel weird with 2 people staring at each other. This is the point to hold eye contact more, and if she breaks it first, that's a serious weapon in your favor.
Really? How old?
Old enough to remember.
There's a lot of pausing here as well. Bond's not afraid to wait 2 or 3 seconds to answer, which is fantastic. Let's just watch this back, because there's a few more coming up too.
Your parents?
My parents died when I was young.
Really? How?
There we go. That was a pause.
Old enough to remember.
And that was the second one. They're definitely longer than normal. He's not afraid of not having to fill in the space.
Remember.
How, if I may ask?
It was a climbing accident.
Again, short responses to the point.
So who brought you up?
Someone else.
And that answer there, someone else, and moving on hastily, he's getting bored with the conversation, and as a man, he's trying to control where the conversation's going to go. And, you know, there's no problem with that, guys. If you're talking to a woman, you don't have to be into what she's into. You don't have to sit there and talk about things you don't like or be stuck on a certain subject just to impress her. He wanted to move it on and talk about something else, so he's done that.
Humour me. How does one train at Oxford and the sort?
And something else I always tell you guys about, holding eye contact is easy when the other person is talking, but holding eye contact whilst you're talking is a top level move. Very few people can do it. If you can pull this off, it's a game changer.
Become a consultant, spend 2 years with Médecins Sans Frontières.
And the other thing to notice is the lack of movement while he's speaking. He's not scratching, he's not moving around, he's not swinging in his chair, he's not spinning in his chair, he's not moving his head, his eyes or anything. He's just talking, he's focused on the words, he's confident. You know, if you were moving around, spinning on your chair or leaning back and leaning forward or rearranging your shoes or your jumper or your collar or scratching or fiddling with your hair, you know, everybody does this and it's not a good look. If you can stay completely still, good eye contact and speak confidently, it's a game changer.
And ended up here. Forgive me, but anyone might think you're hiding from something.
And again, there's that whisper that I always talk to you guys about. It adds emphasis. It's a fantastic move.
You're paying a lot of money to be here, Mr. Bond. Who's asking the questions? And
this part here is a challenge from her. He realized that he's annoying her, but he needs to extract information from her. You know, which, you know, it won't happen to you guys in real life. You're not secret agents, as far as I know. But he changes his body language here, and this will show you kind of what not to do, but sometimes you might need to do because you're getting on someone's nerves.
You, me?
Of course.
See the way he's looked down and kind of shown a little bit more of a submissive nature.
Carry on.
And also, very slightly, I don't know if we can see it, watch his palm raise. Very slight. See if we can catch this again.
Questions. You, me?
Of course. Carry on.
Slight palm raise down there. That's he didn't do it too high, but it's quite a submissive move to show your palm. And he was raising that up slightly whilst letting her lead, and he broke eye contact by looking down. So, you know, occasionally I wouldn't personally do this, but occasionally you might have to do this to reclaim a scenario. You know, if you've messed up or said something you shouldn't, you might have to do that.
I see you left this final question blank. What is your occupation?
Well, that's not the sort of thing that looks good on a form.
And why is that?
I kill people.
So here he's just said something, you know, that is dramatic, that people would panic over. You know, maybe you wouldn't want to say this out loud, but he said, I kill people, and his eyes haven't moved. His arm really hasn't moved. Down here he's fiddling a little bit, which is, you know, I wouldn't advise that, but I think it's to build tension, to say, like, what is he going to do? Is he going to attack her? Is he going to jump up over the table or something and do what an agent does? But the fact that he said that and stayed stoic around this area, he kept the eye contact, didn't move the head, and was confident in saying it, says a lot about who he is.
Small world, eh?
And there was some more change in tonality and emphasis there.
Where is he?
Your father's dead.
And again, another sentence, your father's dead. You know, there's not... If anybody's ever seen doctors come out of maybe an emergency scenario and they have to go and tell the family that their father's dead or the son's dead or something, you know, they were in an accident, they're dead. They do it in a very stoic manner where they're trained to say it and then not really flinch, because it's very hard for people to then attack that person. You have to say it in a monotone, you have to be stern and stoic, and you just have to say it as it is, use as few words as possible, I'm sorry, and then walk away, get out of that scenario. And it's similar to what Bond did there.
2 days ago.
How do you know?
Because I was there.
Did you kill him?
I didn't have to. He did it himself.
And this entire time, his eye contact, is piercing, as we can see here. I spoke to somebody the other day in the comments about eye contact where you're looking through the person. Now, that doesn't mean you know, you're Superman, you're physically looking through them with lasers. It just means that the example I used is, have you ever spoken to somebody, looked at them, but you weren't really listening? So you're making eye contact, but you're visualizing somewhere else. That is when you're just kind of listening, you're not really caring. Whereas looking through somebody is when they're the only thing that matters. You know, when you're focused so much on that individual that somebody could come up to the side of you and wave their hand and you wouldn't even know that they were there. That's the kind of eye contact that is looking through someone. It means you're making them feel like the most important person in the world to you at that moment, and that's what it means to look through someone.
And you came all the way just to tell me this? That my father's dead?
I came to tell you that your life is in danger and I need your help.
Why?
I made a deal with him to protect you.
You're lying. Why would he trust you?
Because he knew that I needed something in return.
And what was that?
To find the American.
So he sits forward here, which would normally be seen as a submissive move, but seeing as she cried, his body language changed completely. Watch this. So as soon as she starts crying here...
Why would he trust you?
Because
he's tilted his head, he's moved a little bit more, he's softened up, he's mirroring. That's what he's doing here.
he knew that I needed something in return.
And what was that?
To find
And then the lean forward is being somewhat empathetic. You know, he's leaning forward, he's making her feel more important, because you can at that point. She's crying, you know, it's not the same as it was. You have to be a little bit different, but he's leaning in because it's something that's important to the story, so, you know, it adds drama for the director. But also by leaning in, you show her that this is important, you grab her attention even more, and it's kind of like leaning in and whispering. It has the same effect, you know, they're going to pay more attention to you.
American.
This interview is over.
But it's also a very much, like if a child is crying, you wouldn't stand there with the hands on your hips looking like an alpha male. You would probably go down maybe to one knee, you'd speak a little bit softer, you'd be a bit more comfortable, probably palms raised up in the air rather than down, like all of your gestures would kind of be shrug shoulders, scrunching your neck up, that sort of thing that people do, where, you know, tilting your head when people are feeling sorry for someone. And he's been a little bit more submissive there, where he's leant in, and, you know, it's a very adult to childlike behavior, where he's definitely the masculine role there, and he's helping the woman who's crying, who's in the submissive role.
Dr. Swan.
You have 10 minutes to leave the building. Then I'm calling security.
We can see here actually how much quicker she walked. Remember the first scene with Bond? Look at the difference. Her very alpha female walk, but watch the speed difference. I know she's angry, but huge difference.
You have 10 minutes to leave the building. Then I'm calling security.
She's completing probably double the amount of steps that Bond was.
Thank you, Dr. Swan.
And here, instead of arguing, you know, guys, if you fall out with your girlfriend or a girl and she wants to throw you out or whatever, don't stand there and argue and fret about it. You know, he just says, "Thank you, Mrs. Swan," looks her in the eyes and leaves. Okay, so don't be that weird guy that lingers too long. And that goes for any exit. Any exit. I was watching one the other day with Winston Churchill and Tommy Shelby. And when they exited, they didn't say really a word to each other. There was no goodbye or anything like that. They just finished what they had to finish and they left. This works wonders in real life. There's way too many people. I see this on a daily basis when people have to crack one more joke before they leave, or they have to say one more funny thing, or they have to do something, or they have to ask one more question because they're insecure, they don't want to leave. It's a weird trait. I've never understood it. If you need to leave, just go, okay? But that's the end of this video, guys, and I'm going to take my own advice and end this video quickly. So I've got some things to do, but thank you for watching as normal, guys, and I'll catch you all soon.